It is Tuesday, May 21st, and the Dong Report plus the Whiff Report are back in your lives. I'm Matt Modai, and I have 3 home run predictions for you guys to lock in, and I have 3 strikeout props for you guys to lock in as well. So admittedly, this is going to be somewhat of a marathon of a video, so strap in. But before we can give you the 6 picks that we have for today, 3 home run, 3 strikeout, we got to do a recap from yesterday, which was good in the strikeout department, not good in the home run department. I got my 1 strikeout prop to cash yesterday. Marcus Stroman over 5.5 strikeouts, plus 120 odds. That cashed for us. But we lost our 3 home run predictions, 0 of 3, down 1.5 units there, as I put a full unit on the strikeout props and a half unit on the home run predictions. So if you followed everything yesterday, you were down about 0.3 units. On the entire season, it's just been an absolutely brutal home run season. And that's the case for the actual MLB as well. Home runs are down as the baseball at MLB gave them dead baseballs. But because of that, we're down about 19 units on our home run predictions, which is terrible. Really no way around that. Just a terrible number. But at least we're showing signs of life on our strikeout props specifically. So I did give out a couple strikeout props at the beginning of the season. Those didn't go well. I took a month hiatus, and the last 3 days have been awesome. I've given out 1 home run prop on each day, Saturday, Sunday, and then yesterday for Monday. We got all 3 to cash, including yesterday's plus money banger. So we're still down a little bit less than a unit on the entire season, but again, we've cashed 3 straight. So there are signs that we're at least coming out of our slump with strikeouts, home runs. You know, we did have a really good stretch at the end of April and the beginning of May. That's now long behind us as we haven't gotten donged in an entire week, which is not good. Hopefully we can turn that around as the weather gets warmer and just we have a little bit better luck. If you are new to my channel, I would appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button. And if you just wanted to play the strikeout props, if you're new, I wouldn't blame you. And then of course for this specific video, if you could comment, would love just to hear any feedback you guys have. And then the last thing I'll mention before I get into the picks, and I'll keep this brief, is I do have a dub club where I send everything out for $5 a month and get you the plays sent to you early. Again, $5 a month sent to your phone, text, email, telegram. The logic there being sometimes the odds change by the time I record, edit, and post a video. With Dub Club, I send it out immediately. It's the very first thing I do when I decide what to play is send it out to Dub Club. So if you're interested in that, just check out the link in the description of the video as well as the pinned comment. That's enough of that. Let's see if we can get donged today, starting in the Orioles versus Cardinals game. And I'm taking Gunnar Henderson to hit a home run, plus 285 odds at FanDuel. So I'm actually going to have 2 plays in this game. It's an incredible game from a weather perspective. It's hot, it's humid, winds blowing out of the ballpark. And it's also an incredible game from a matchup perspective for the Orioles specifically going up against Lance Lynn of the Cardinals. So that's why I'm going to have 2 plays in this game, because it's about as good as it gets for the Orioles batters. Now, sure, Lance Lynn hasn't been as bad as he was last year. Still hasn't been good, and he's pretty decently worse against lefties. So we're going to get into him. Either way, perfect game for Gunnar Henderson, who is on basically the heater of a lifetime recently. So we just have to hope he keeps it going tonight. He's hit 6 home runs over the last 2 weeks. That ties him in the league lead with home runs. Over the last 14 days, ties him with 4 batters total. There's 4 total, so 3 others who have all hit 6 home runs. Unsurprisingly, because of the fact that he's hit 6 home runs, he's got incredible home run numbers. He's got the 3rd best ISO rate in the entire MLB over the last 2 weeks with an ISO rate of 50%. 50% is just crazy. ISO rate stands for isolated power, measures how much power a batter has. 50% is ridiculous. He also has a great barrel rate of 14.7%. Now for barrel rate, it measures contact, how often you hit the barrel of the bat when you make contact. For barrel rate, anything between 10 and 15% is great. Anything 15% and above is excellent. So him at 14.7%, that is great, very close to the excellent category. Now, the one number that Gunnar doesn't have that we normally look for home runs is fly ball rate. His is decently low for someone that's hit as many home runs as he has. But everything else is phenomenal. His pull rate, 52.9%. How often he pulls the ball when he makes contact. Number for home run hitters, you like it 40% and above. Anything 45% and above is great. Anything 50% and above is excellent. He's at 53%. That's incredible. Generally, the best home run hitters pull the ball more frequently. So that's kind of why I look for pull rate. And then he's got an average exit velocity of 94.1 miles per hour, measuring how fast the ball leaves the bat when he makes contact. The MLB defines a hard hit as anything 95 miles per hour and above. He's almost averaging a hard hit. He's at 94.1 miles per hour, which is really, really good. He's got a hard hit percentage of 67.6%. That is an incredible number. Fifth best in the MLB. Basically, 70% of the time he makes contact, it's considered a hard hit. That's an incredible number. And then I mentioned the pitching matchup against Lance Lynn. 4 of the 6 home runs that Lance Lynn has given up have been to left-handed hitters. That bodes well for Gunnar Henderson. And generally, the numbers against Lance Lynn are great across the board for home runs. So we're just going to have to hope here that Gunnar Henderson stays hot. Hope that he cashes out this home run prop for us. Next up, we're heading to the Angels and Astros game, and I'm taking Kyle Tucker to hit a home run at plus 340 odds at FanDuel. So I admit we've been a little bit snake bitten with Kyle Tucker recently. I had him 3 times last week. He didn't hit a home run, and then of course he hit 2 home runs on Sunday. So with that said, he's just been mashing. He's been crushing the baseball. So I do think that our luck with Kyle Tucker specifically is going to start. Hopefully that means it starts today. He is also one of the 4 batters tied with Gunnar with 6 home runs over the last 2 weeks. And his home run numbers, similar to Gunnar, but sometimes actually a little bit better than Gunnar, are just incredible across the board. ISO rate of 51.2%. That's above Gunnar Henderson. That's the second best in the MLB, only behind Aaron Judge. Barrel rate, 25.8% over the last 2 weeks. An absolutely incredible number. Good for 6th best in the MLB over the last 2 weeks. Fly ball ratio of 61.3%. 60% of the time he makes contact, he's hitting a fly ball. Why do we look at fly ball rate for home runs? Generally, when home runs are hit, it's off of a fly ball. So you want to look for batters that are getting the ball in the air. And his fly ball rate of 61.3%, that's the second best in the MLB over the last 2 weeks. He also has a very good matchup specifically against the pitcher, this time Griff Canning of the Angels. Canning is a right-handed pitcher. 5 of the 6 home runs that Tucker has hit over the last 2 weeks, they've come against right-handed pitchers. And then Canning, 5 of the 7 home runs that he's allowed as a pitcher have been against left-handed hitters. That bodes well for Kyle Tucker. Canning is allowing a fly ball ratio of 40.9%. That's pretty bad for a pitcher. Pull rate just below 40%. Another number that's pretty bad for a pitcher, and then he's allowing a barrel rate of 10.2%. That's awful. That's one of the worst in the MLB. So Tucker didn't come through for us last week. Let's hope he changes that today. That's our second pick. And then third up, our final home run prediction of the day. We're going back, as I mentioned, to the Orioles versus Cardinals game, and we're taking Adley Rutschman to hit a home run at plus 420. Awesome, very cool odds at FanDuel. So Adley gets the same benefit as Gunnar. He's going up against Lance Lynn, terrible pitcher. He also has the same benefit of the weather that Gunnar does as well. So everything you heard me say about the pitching matchup and about the weather for Gunnar, that applies to Adley Rutschman as well. And Adley Rutschman, if you look at his entire season, generally better against left-handed pitchers, but if you look recently, he's been hitting right-handed pitchers really well, so that does bode well for us just looking at the recent stats. Adley Rutschman has hit 4 home runs against he's hit 4 home runs over the last 2 weeks. So he's hit home runs straight up over the last 2 weeks. But the point I was making now is just a little bit early. All 4 of those home runs have been hit against right-handed pitchers. So he's 4 for 4 in terms of home runs in the last 2 weeks being against right-handed pitchers. Overall, he's got an ISO rate of 31% over the last 2 weeks. That's considered excellent. His ISO rate against right-handed pitching specifically is even higher, up to 36.4%. Obviously, an incredible number there. And what I really like about Adley Rutschman is his pull rate. He's got a ridiculous pull rate of 61.8%. That's even better than Gunnar's. Now, his fly ball rate is a little bit lower than you'd like. That's closer to Gunnar. But his pull rate's so high. His other metrics are so high that I'm very comfortable going with Adley Rutschman to hit a home run, especially when you consider the fact, great weather, great pitching matchup that I already detailed with Gunnar Henderson. So those are our 3 home run predictions for you guys to lock in. We just need one of these guys to hit a home run, and we'll at least be profitable for the day. Would love a profitable day for home runs, but if we get all 3 of these to hit a home run, we'll do a nice job getting into the dent of our losses on it this season. Now we transition to the whiff report part of the show. And as I mentioned, I'm going to have 3 strikeout props for you guys to lock in as well. Busy marathon of a show. First up, Mariners versus Yankees game. I'm taking Clark Schmidt over 6.5 strikeouts, minus 120 odds at BetMGM. So I was on a strikeout prop against the Mariners yesterday. I'm going right back to it today. What it comes down to, sometimes it is as simple as this. Take your pitcher's strikeout props against the Mariners, especially a right-handed pitcher. The Mariners have struck out the most in the entire season against right-handed pitching at 29.1%. Now, they've been slightly better over the last 2 weeks. They have a strikeout rate of 28.1% over the last 2 weeks. That's only the second worst in the MLB. So congratulations, you went from the worst to the second worst over the last 2 weeks. But for context, Fangraphs defines any team with a strikeout rate that is 27.5 or worse, so a higher number than 27.5%. That is considered awful. It's the worst grading they give. So even though the Mariners have been slightly better over the last 2 weeks, they're still considered awful in terms of a strikeout rate. 4 straight right-handed pitchers against the Mariners have hit their strikeout prop. 3 of them had hit by multiple strikeouts, so they had an over-under of 5.5. They hit 7 strikeouts 3 of the times. In 9 overall, 9 of 11 right-handed pitchers against the Mariners have gone over their strikeout prop. If you just go through their lineup, you look, okay, who is striking out? They have 6 guys in their projected lineup that strike out over 27.5% and above, so considered awful in terms of a strikeout rate, 27.5 and above, 6 guys, and then another 3 that strike out over 30% of the time. Just a historically bad strikeout team. Will gladly fade them once again tonight. We were on Stroman yesterday. We had him over 5.5 strikeouts for plus 120 odds. He came through. It was a sweat, but he did come through with 6 strikeouts. And then also Clark Schmidt has significantly better strikeout stuff than Stroman does. If you just look at his data, he's got a strikeout rate of 27%. That's a really good number. That's considered excellent by Fangraphs standards. Anything 27% and above is considered excellent. He is just in the excellent category, but still considered excellent. I'm saying that word a lot, whatever. And that 27% number, that's currently the 18th best in the entire MLB. And last year would have been good for the 10th best in the entire MLB. So very good strikeout stuff for Clark Schmidt against a very bad strikeout team. Seems like a match made in heaven. That's our first play. Next up, we're actually sticking in the same game here, Mariners versus Yankees. And I'm taking Brian Wu. It's a fun last name to say. Brian Wu under 4.5 strikeouts, plus 130 odds at ESPN Bet. So it's the same matchup. We're just going on the other side of the ball, and we're fading that pitcher, Brian Wu, against the Yankees. Yankees bats have been incredible the entire season. They've been incredible recently. Part of them being incredible is they just haven't been striking out a lot. Now, that's not always a correlation, right? Sometimes really good hitting teams strike out a lot. When you hit for power, sometimes you strike out a lot. That has not been the case for the Yankees. They have been hitting the ball really well recently, and they also haven't been striking out. On the entire season, they have a strikeout rate of 19.7%, which is a good rate, right? That's a pretty low strikeout rate. That's good for 6th best in the MLB, 6th lowest strikeout rate, I should say. But over the last 2 weeks, the number is all the way down to 16.7%, a full 3% lower over the last 2 weeks than their entire season average. And that number, 16.7%, that's the lowest in the MLB. No team has struck out less often, fewer frequently, whatever the correct grammar is, than the Yankees over the last 2 weeks. 5 straight pitchers against the Yankees haven't hit the 5 strikeout mark. One of those pitchers that does include Pablo Lopez, who does have pretty good strikeout stuff. He only had 3 strikeouts, and his over-under was 6.5. Now, Will has only made 2 MLB starts this season, over once, under once. He's yet to throw 80 pitches in a game yet. Maybe they're just ramping him back up, and he's going to throw more tonight. But even if he does throw more pitches, in his 2 starts on the year, his strikeout rate is about 22.3%. That's not a terrible number by any means, but it's also not a good number. So even if he does pitch more, I wouldn't expect him to get to all the strikeouts, get to 5 strikeouts against the Yankees. Hopefully that comes true, him going under 4.5. That's our second play. Third up, final pick of this marathon video, Logan Webb, 6+ strikeouts, plus 150 odds at Bet365. So I'm only putting 3/4 of a unit on this one. That's what I'm putting on it. That's what it's being tracked at. So for me, 1 unit equals $100. For this one, I'm putting $75. Definitely the spiciest play of the evening. That's why I'm only putting 3/4 of a unit on it. I really wanted to take him to go over 4.5 strikeouts as opposed to over 5.5, but the over 4.5 is priced at minus 150 odds. I just couldn't stomach that kind of juice. But the 5 strikeout number, that does seem to be a key number for Logan Webb. 4 separate times this season, he's hit exactly 5 strikeouts. So if you wanted to play it a little bit safe, take the over 4.5 number. I wouldn't blame you. For me, what I decided to do was pump it up to 6+ strikeouts and just lower the unit size for to be 3/4 of a unit, because he has hit 6 strikeouts in 2 of his last 3 starts. And in the 1 start he missed, that was his last start, and that was against the Dodgers. So there are reasons to believe he can get to the 6 number. I just wanted to play it a little bit safe. But the reason why I like this play in general, phenomenal matchup for him to strike out a bunch of Pirates. So I mentioned the Mariners have the highest strikeout rate on the season, but over the last 2 weeks, they only have the 2nd highest strikeout rate. Guess what team strikes out more than the Seattle Mariners? That would be the Pittsburgh Pirates. So the only team with a higher strikeout rate than the Mariners over the last 2 weeks. On the entire season, they have the 5th highest strikeout rate in the MLB, but over the last 2 weeks, their strikeout rate jumps up to 28.3%. That's obviously in the awful category. And them and the Mariners are the only 2 teams with a strikeout rate that is considered awful over the past 2 weeks, with the Pirates being the literal worst. 4 of the last 5 right-handed pitchers against the Pirates, they've cashed their strikeout prop. The one guy that missed was Kyle Hendricks. He barely has any strikeout stuff at all. He had 4 strikeouts on an over-under of 4.5. So even he came close. Now, I will admit, this has not been a great year for Logan Webb, specifically with striking guys out. It's his lowest strikeout rate since the 2020 season. But the good news is all of his other pitching metrics look good, and he's generally been able to pitch deep into games, and he's pitched well. So 7 of his 10 starts this year, he's at least gotten to 6+ innings. And going up against the Pirates offense, that's bottom 10 in basically every advanced category against right-handed pitching, I'm expecting him to go deeper into the game, which just should bode well for him to be able to strike out 6 batters. Let's hope he does come through with the spiciest play of the evening, and that's all we got. 3 strikeout props, 3 home run props for you guys to lock in. Again, remember to like the video, comment, subscribe. Remember to check out the Dub Club if you are interested in that. I appreciate everybody for watching, and have a good one.